when are we going to talk about position? Like, you can't mention him and not spend a great deal of time on everything outside of football. And I think that's bad. That's really bad.
On today's Odd Coaches podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis preview the AFC South in advance of the 2021-2022 NFL season. Welcome to today's show. Dr. Keith Adams is the president of the CKA Save Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. He is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college levels. He has won numerous championships and epitomizes professionalism. Coach Mike Franchise Francis is one of the most successful football and basketball coaches in the state of Maryland. He too is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college level and is self-admittedly a little rough around the edges. Both men have mentored countless student athletes, teachers, and coaches using their unique methods and approaches to leadership. Both men also share a unique and special friendship that was cultivated often through their unique perspective of life and leadership. Dr. Adams through his extensive educational background and Coach Francis through his life experiences. Can these two men share a podcast without driving each other crazy? Welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. My name is Dr. Keith Adams, founder and president of the CKA Save Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. With me, as always, today is my tag team partner, my Larry Zabisco to my Arn Anderson with the Enforcers tag team, Coach Mike Francis and Franchise. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm telling you right now, that right there got me ready to come down the aisle with this smoke coming out all over my shoulder. I'm ready to get it on. Let's go.
All right. So for this episode, we are previewing the AFC South as we do our NFL previews for the 2021-2022 season. In the first segment, we will talk about Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. The second segment, we'll talk about Jacksonville and Houston. And we'll try to not get ourselves in trouble as we talk about Houston, a lost episode. And in the third segment, we will give our predictions based on our good friends. We hope they like us at Athlon Sports, as we've used their preview guides for all of our work, hoping next year that they'll give us a buck or two. All right, so let's start off. Tennessee, Arrested Development. Prince made them pay $100,000 for that one word. So that's what I think about when I think of Tennessee. They run the ball a lot, so they better not get down. What are you thinking about Tennessee, Coach France?
I agree with you from that standpoint. I don't know if their offense will allow them to be one of the they're not going to put up like major numbers, and they're not going to be one of the greatest offensive threats there is. They are a very physical brand of football, though. So over time, that wear you down, especially late in the season. When injuries and stuff start to take place and they just stick with what they got. And they just happen to have probably the best running back, you think? Running back in that whole conference and probably in the AFC, if you ask me. So I put them as a playoff team as well this year.
Well, I need your insight for Tennessee. And fans will notice there are a few teams I will ask a few more questions about than others, strictly for entertainment purposes only. I was doing some research, Coach, on different alignments now defensively. And teams are running 3-3-5s, and they're having more nickel backs and defensive backs because of the spread and all of that cute stuff. But Tennessee is going to punch you in the mouth. And if they get up, they're going to chop and chomp that clock and chomp that clock and chomp that clock. And are teams equipped today to go against what Tennessee's doing, because they're counter pretty much to what everybody else is doing?
Exactly.
Talk to me a little bit about that. And I'm going to take a couple more notes strictly for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, because what they do is, with everybody having the spread, most teams run a spread offense. When you start to build your defense, you got to have a nickel back. You got to go 4-2-5 situations where you have other people who can cover, because people like to throw the ball. But if you got a small guy out there who can cover, he might not be physical enough to come up and feel or force when it comes to the power run that Tennessee give to you. And I don't want to be standing in the hole with Henry coming at me. I'm sorry. I mean,
Yeah, we talk about like and love, and one of the things that I talk to people about in terms of football, as you know, my son plays, is if you're a defensive player and you like to play, and that running back is coming at you, who's ran the 200, the men's race, if you will, my favorite race as a track person, and he's coming around that corner, and he loves it. Man, I don't want to be the guy who likes it versus the guy who loves it. And that's what I feel about Derrick Henry. When he's coming at you, he's loving what's about to happen. And if you tiptoe through that hole, he's not tiptoeing. No. So with that said, I think we're going to spend a little more time this year paying attention to Tennessee, which takes me to Indianapolis. And when I think of Indianapolis, Coach, using my wrestling fandom, I just think bad booking. Who booked this? Okay, because if I'm booking it, I'm booking a backup already. There's too many good players out there to run into the problem that they're gonna have. So tell me your thoughts on the Indianapolis Colts.
No longer a factor in the NFL, if you ask me. So much is going on with the program and the organization. I see them struggling to be 500. To be honest with you. Struggling very bad to be 500.
But they got Carson Wentz, Coach. The audience members, Coach gave me a deadpan. I got to ask while I got you, are you mad at Andrew Luck? Because they actually have good pieces. Indianapolis has the pieces to actually do well, but they have this patchwork quarterback situation. And you keep telling me, and I guess rightfully so, the quarterback means something. So, man, are you like, Andrew, why'd you do this to us? Or are you like, hey, man, Carson can get this job done? I don't know.
I don't think Andrew Luck's situation was like a decision of his own, though. You know, like his is more medical than anything. Like, you don't want to do it. Like, you can't. You mean, how many surgeries that guy have? You know what I mean?
Okay, I can understand that.
Yeah. When your off season becomes more of a medical preparation and you have to, like, you don't have an off season. You're always prepping, or you're always trying to recoup, or you're always in therapy. You always, like, you don't love the game anymore. We always say that to the kids. I tell the parents at every meeting, like, we don't want kids who love the game. Our kids have to love practice. Because we're going to practice 3 times more than we play the games. Always. You know, we play 2 games a week, basketball, 1 game a week in football. Practice, you know, that's 3 times, 4 times in basketball, and 4 times in football, Monday through Thursday. So if you just here to show up for the game, you're in trouble.
Yes,
so
indeed.
That preparation you have to fall in love with, the preparation. And when your preparation is always medical or recuperating or therapeutic, like you can't find a joy in it anymore. And
Good
I can
stuff.
understand that.
Good stuff. All right, with that, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
The vision of the CKA SAVE project is to use the combination of academics and athletics as a catalyst to lifelong success. Thus, the CKA SAVE project works to improve student-athlete academic and athletic performance by assisting student-athletes with transitional and transferable skills such as time management and organizational skills, along with the ability to self-advocate to help improve performance. However, we cannot do our work without the help of supporters like you. Consider donating to the CKA SAVE project. We accept tax-deductible contributions in a number of ways, including Venmo and Cash App at CKA SAVE project, or directly at the main page of our website, www.ckasaveproject.org. Simply click the donate button. We thank you in advance for your continued support.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. This preview of the AFC South. And in this segment, we're going to talk about one of my new favorite teams for all the wrong reasons, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. Jacksonville, Coach, is Urban Meyer ready for all of what's going to come to him I can't wait to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on good old Urban? I'm hoping he's feeling better because sometimes he gets sick
He get very
when the
sick.
heat comes.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. The worse the tackling in, the worse he feels. That's how I see it of him. When they can't tackle, he gets sick. Sort of like, excuse me, Mike Krzyzewski at Duke. It's funny how he always had to have a surgery with their worst teams. But
has he ever played a true non-conference home game? Anyway, sorry about that. Wrong section.
Yeah, back to football. No, I'm not going to say Urban Meyer is in over his head. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good leader. I was not happy with this Tim Tebow thing. There's a lot of kids or other people who probably deserved a shot better than what Tebow was just wasting people time from day one. I'm going to be honest with you. And it didn't take long for people to figure that out. So I didn't like that at all. I honestly did not like the way they did that at all. But Trevor Lawrence, the kid has all the measurables, and we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. But the problem is, in 2 or 3 years, Trevor Lawrence will be older, and we know that Urban Meyer loves the young quarterback. So we're going to see. He probably move on from him in 3 years. We don't know. What do you think?
All right. So first of all, let the fans know that I am a 40-year fan of professional wrestling. And AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is based out of Jacksonville, and that's their home base, and they do a lot of work with Jacksonville. So I have kind of paid attention to Jacksonville. In addition, people who know Keith Adams know that he is going to retire to Florida at some point in the next 10 years. So I have been looking at city after city, and my friends know it's not a joke. My child knows it's not a joke, but some people around me are like, is he serious? And Coach Franchise is like, absolutely. He's not joking. He is telling you. So Jacksonville is a city I pay a lot of attention to.
Mm-hmm.
I also like leadership. My doctorate's in organizational leadership with an emphasis on organizational development. And Jacksonville is taking a risk. Jacksonville's taking a chance. And they hired Urban Meyer, who I think is going to struggle, because when you coach in college, and Coach Francis, you know this better than anyone.
Yes, sir.
You have say. Everything runs through you.
Mm-hmm.
You control this, you control that, control. Go ahead and do the snake like Janet did in '86. And if you're coaching in the NFL, you have control of absolutely nothing. Players make more than you. You've got a general manager, you've got a president, you've got all kinds of outside things that college coaches tend to struggle with. And Meyer's a control freak. So I'm watching this, again, as I said to you, for all the wrong reasons. I want to see how he's going to manage this. And now he has something that Jimmy Johnson didn't have all of this stuff. He's coming in, picking a lot of the groceries. And the Tebow thing, man, that was a bad move. We hadn't even talked about the tone deafness with the strength and conditioning coach and him saying at the press conference, I got this. I vented him out. And he saw on day one, no, the NFL doesn't care about that.
No,
so when they got on his hind pox for that move and he had to answer questions, oh my God, I cut bait real quick and said, okay, I've learned a valuable lesson. So I'm watching Jacksonville again for all the wrong Notice I'm not talking a lot of football. I'm talking a lot of, let's see how this organization works. Let's do all of these things. So I'm curious about that, which takes us to Houston, and I'm a historian. So Houston, we have a problem. We have a lot of problems. And I'm glad you're going first, because I've got to take my time when I talk about the Houston Texans. So
you throw that to me like that? Come on, man. You set me up.
So tell me your thoughts on Houston, because all I'm going to say is, man, we've got a problem.
Yeah, we got a serious problem in Houston, like a serious problem. Like it just keeps growing, man. It keeps growing and growing and growing. And we do have an episode that we have not released and will not release because of our talk about the program in Houston and what was going on with the quarterback. Well, was the quarterback in Houston. Where do we start with Houston? There's so much wrong from the top to the bottom. There's trainers, there's front office personnel, there's the quarterback. Like, so much is going on in there. Like how they say, let's unpack this. Where do we unpack it? Where do we begin? I believe the turmoil and what's going on down there is going to hurt the program for some time. For some time. It's going to be hard to get guys who want to come there. I know money is one thing, but when you really trying to get those nice free agents and all, nobody want to be a part of that,
That's a lot of noise.
That's cool.
That's a lot of noise.
Yep.
So with all sincerity, and again, looking at it from a leadership lens, Houston's problems are Houston's problems because Houston failed to make action. One of the things you have to do in leadership is you have to make tough decisions. And as my sister and I like to talk about, sometimes you got to put your big boy and your big girl pants on to make a decision. You saw that you had a window of opportunity to, for lack of a better term, cut bait on some problems that maybe you just didn't want to deal with. As a result of being stubborn and not reading the room and understanding what's going on, this is a lost season. These guys are going to play 17 games just to not get fined, so to speak, and honor their contract, because no conversation is going to be about football, because you didn't put your football team in a position to worry just about football. So as a result of your indecision as leaders, you're going to deal with this all year, and you didn't have to. And that's, kind of what I'm thinking about Houston is they're just existing. They'll win some games. They've got it's not like they don't have talented people or what have you, but your failure to act has now given this program an albatross all year that they're going to have to answer questions. And man, good luck to you, because that's your fault.
It's bad. It's really bad. It's we're at the point where I don't see anything good coming out of this. There's no way it can be salvaged. And because of that, sooner or later, when we're going to start talking about draft picks and things like that, you know what I mean? Like, when are we going to start talking about football things again for them? When are we going to talk about position? Like, you can't mention them and not spend a great deal of time on everything outside of football. And I think that's bad. That's really bad.
We'll be right back with predictions on the AFC South right after these short messages.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project, is releasing a book this fall called Finding the Balance: My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. The goal of this book is to give greater insight into student-athlete motivation to improve student-athlete academic and athletic success through the lens of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic journey, from being an underperforming student-athlete to an academic and athletic leader. This book is also designed to be a guide for student-athletes, parents, teachers, coaches, administrators, and anyone else who has a passion to help student-athletes succeed academically and athletically. You can pre-order your copy of the book directly from our website at www.ckasaveproject.org. This book is scheduled for release in the fall of 2021.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast as we make our predictions on the AFC South with our good friends who probably don't even know us at Athlon Sports. They have the Tennessee Titans as number 1, the Indianapolis Colts as number 2, the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 3, and the Houston Texans as 4. Coach, what are your predictions for the AFC South, sir?
I gotta go along with everything they had as far as the order. Except Jaguars, not. I think the Jaguars finished last. I do think the Jaguars finished last in that division. That's about it. Everything else I agree with.
All right, and the playoff teams we have are the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. Man, the Colts situation is weird because they, as we mentioned, they got talent. And if they have, a good game manager or somebody that can make some plays, man, they could be right in the mix. Any thoughts on that before we close out our preview of the AFC South?
For me, it's going to be hard to pick the Colts as a playoff team. I know there's a little bit of expansion, but I don't see it. I see Tennessee running away with it, that whole division. I'm still not sold on the Colts. It's just, but when you look at the other teams in the division, maybe it's a process of elimination that makes them go up that high, as far as number 2 in the AFC South.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Tennessee has a chance to get some home games because they're going to feast on Jacksonville and they're going to feast on Houston. So that's 4 wins right there. At worst, they'll split with the Colts. So that's 5 wins, which means they've already won their division. So they're in the playoffs. And, I mean, with some of the other divisions in the AFC, Titans have a chance to make this thing go all the way through Music City. And they should be the team to beat. And throughout the season, you're going to hear, strictly for entertainment purposes only, I'm going to go with the Titans this week. I'm going to go with the Titans this week. I'm going to go with the Titans this week. A lot of over-unders and going with the under. So any final thoughts before we close out, sir?
No, sir. That's it for me.
All right, and that's it for me, too. Thank you for joining us on our AFC South preview of the Odd Coaches podcast.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. You can follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.